You're listening to Drinks and a Movie with your host, Rudy. Spoiler alert.
All right, what's up, everyone? Welcome to Drinks and a Movie podcast. Been a minute since I've done an episode, so thanks everyone for being patient. This is going to be a very spirit-forward episode where I've got Chris Hartowicz from the Cavaliers Drum and Bugle Corps. They're throwing a Bourbon Raffle. I think this is the third annual, I want to say. It's been fourth annual. Man, 4 years already. So I know we've talked about it in the very first year, so it's been a minute since I've had you back on the show to discuss. So we're just going to be running through these collections you guys are offering, talking about the raffle. But first, if Chris, you can kind of go over the history of the Cavaliers Drum and Bugle Corps, what it is, what it means, what this raffle is supporting. I was a member myself back in 2010 and 2011. I served on the visual staff there 2013, 14, and 15. So it definitely means a lot to me. And yeah, maybe you can share with the audience what we're talking about here.
Well, the organization, in fact, you see it on a lot of our merchandise and T-shirts and everything, has a 48 theme because the organization was founded back in 1948 in Logan Square neighborhood of Chicago by a gentleman named Don Warren, and he was an assistant scoutmaster. And started off, he said the kids he was trying to keep the kids in his scout troop engaged, and they were starting to get a little too old for campouts. So they went to a jamboree and saw these Boy Scout Drum and Bugle Corps competing, and he thought, well, what do you guys think of that? And they said, well, sure, let's give it a try. So they ended up finding some instruments in basement of a American Legion hall and put together a drum corps. And about 8 years later, they had progressed to the point where they won a national championship. The organization's been around now this is our 76th year. We celebrated our 75th year last year. Still based in the Chicago area, now kind of moved out to the suburbs to Rosemont, and have a great relationship with people out there. They're our biggest sponsor. The village of Rosemont is, and the organization's been very, very successful over its lifetime. In 1972, Drum Corps International started, which was kind of a growth out of the old VFW and American Legion days. And we've got like 10 VFW championships, national championships, 3 American Legion championships, and then 7 championships for DCI, Drum Corps International. So it's been very successful over the years. After my era, I marched 1969 to 1977. My son actually marched during some of a dynasty period in the early 2000s, from 2002 to 2005, and had to remind Jeff, he went undefeated for my son Jeff. He went undefeated for about a year and a half in 2002 to middle of 2003. And I kept telling him, this stuff doesn't happen that often. You got to work into it. But it's been great. Just like any other not-for-profit. And I got onto the board of directors in 2012 and have been on the board since then. And of course, as a board member, our biggest thing is making sure we have the money to keep the thing going. So when you're competing and traveling all over the country during the summer, and we're now up to 5 buses and 3 semis and a couple of chase vehicles that follow us around on this tour, keeping that thing going, keeping everybody fed, all the payrolls that go along with it and so on is challenging at best. So we do a lot of different fundraisers. Saw this as a possibility a few years ago. I had started to get involved in a little bit of bourbon collecting, and ended up becoming much more of an expert than I ever planned to be. Started this thing off by seeing what some of the financial possibilities were for raising for our organization, and it's been great. We've raised about, I would say somewhere close to $250,000 in the first 3 years. This year we're already off to a big start, but obviously lots of room to be able to continue to raise some funds and get more people involved. And it's become my hobby. All year long I'm collecting. We got 172 bottles total in total collections this year. We already did an early bird raffle last week Saturday at the DCI championships that was all focused on the drum corps, and a gentleman in Racine, Wisconsin won that. So going to be delivering that in the next week to that gentleman, And in the meantime, we've got the big drawing for all the rest of the collections is going to be September 29th. So we're going to go up until midnight on September 28th and do the drawing then. But the organization has grown from just a drum corps to some additional programs we have going on. We've had independent drum lines that have competed. We have independent winds group that has competed in the Winter Guard International Circuit for mostly high school age kids in the Chicagoland area. And one of the things we're really proud of right now is the other program that's expanding considerably is the King Cobras, and that's basically they call it all abilities, but it's really for special needs kids and or special needs individuals of all ages, and they'll come out and just bang on drums and have a great time, and that's been spreading all over the Chicago area, and we're looking to continue to expand that. So some really great programs involving using music as a vehicle to involve a lot of individuals and give them an opportunity to bond together, to be able to grow, get a great expand their educations and so on. So it's been a great organization looking to continue into the future, and this is just one of the ways that we continue to raise funds to keep it going.
Yeah, that's great. It's always crazy for me to hear how much the programs have expanded just since I've been involved, 10, 15 years ago, whatever it's been. So it's pretty cool to see that. And so let's dig into this. I know there's a ton of collections to go through. I think you do a really good job curating all of these. Do you do that aspect of it yourself? Like, you're the one who's putting together each of these collections?
Yeah, and I have since this one's already put together, I've already started collecting for next year. So I've probably got about 45, 50 bottles for next year, but you can see, I figured I'd put you can see on the shelf back there, but I've got the grand prize collection. The biggest part of the grand prize collection is, of course, the all 6 bottles of the Pappy Flight.
Yeah.
And that's also including an additional 6 bottles. And the picture that Rudy's bringing up, you can see that the 6 bottles are on top of the barrel there in my Bourbon Raffle, a photo studio, which is basically off my deck in my backyard. This is a low budget operation, but you can see we've got an additional 6 bottles that are all out of the Buffalo Trace Distillery. Sazerac Rye, a Weller Special Reserve, the Stag Junior, a French version of the Eagle Rare with the tube, E.H. Taylor, and a couple of bottles or a couple of glasses that go with the Traveler. And the Traveler is obviously a new one this year with a partnership from Buffalo Trace with Chris Stapleton. So it's they're doing a pretty good distribution. Might be available near you, but the two glasses go along with that, and that's the big one. We've got a total of we've got this grand prize. We've got an additional 20 collections that are really fun, and then the big bottle. But if you want to go through and take a look at some of the other collections,
yeah. Well, first, just on this one, I mean, and the raffle tickets are $100, I think, per ticket.
Yeah, raffle tickets are $100 per ticket. And we tried something as a special last year, and it was really popular. So we're going to do it all the way through the raffle this year, which is a 3 for 2. So for $200, $100 per ticket for single individual ticket. But if you spend $200, you put in 3 tickets, and you'll get 3 tickets, which also gives you, if you get 3 tickets, it gives you an entry into the big bottle bonus drawing. And we'll show you that as we scroll down through some of these, the rest of these collections.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Just this one. I mean, being able to possibly get this whole flight for, $100 is pretty insane. Yeah. Obviously these are some of the most sought off bottles in the whole, bourbon game. I'm really curious about this Silver Tube Eagle Rare. I've never seen one of those. I have quite a few Eagle Rare single barrels that are really great and really rich. Like, anytime I can find a store pick, I prefer it to just its normal Eagle Rare. But I'd be curious if this one, because you're saying it's a French release, if it actually tastes any different. Kind of how with Blanton's there's the red and the black that are the Japan releases that are like 2 years older. So they do actually taste a little bit different, even though the package is similar. But yeah, that's really cool.
I don't know. I know this was, when I look at the bottle, it doesn't look a whole lot different, but it's, it looks like a regular Eagle Rare 10 year. So the rest of the day, you were just talking about the Blantons, and we got the full, we call them the Rainbow Collection right there, that's the second one. And that's, what do you call it? All 6 bottles in the Rainbow Flight of, I call it the Rainbow Flight because of the different colors. Obviously have the green on a special reserve, on the right side there, the black and the red, the gold, the straight from the barrel, and the regular Blanton's single barrel.
I've got my gold right here. I'm actually going to pour myself a little some right now. I'm lucky enough to say I actually have this full setup. Not the hugest Blanton's fan, but because I'm a big collector too, so it's like, I just like to see them all. But the gold is definitely my favorite of the bunch. I think the 103 proof, really does a lot to enhance it, and you can't beat it. It's just a really beautiful bottle as well.
Yeah, probably one of the hardest things about being the collector for this raffle is I can't tap all of these and take a sip out of them. I got to keep them cold. So I've got a bottle of gold and a bottle of the regular on my shelf, and I bought myself a bottle of the special reserve, the green label.
Yeah.
Of course, the green being the color for the Cavaliers.
Yeah.
I try and save some of these higher end bottles for the special occasions.
Yeah.
So I'm sure we'll have an opportunity to be able to taste that.
Yeah. If anyone is interested, I did do a video on the Drinks in a Movie podcast YouTube channel, maybe several months ago, where I actually blind tasted all 6 of these Blanton's variants. So if you want a blind tasting opinion, just go to YouTube channel and you can watch me react to all of these. One of them, not so great, but you'll watch the video to find out. So, yeah.
I
that's
can
awesome.
speculate, but I'll go and watch the video myself.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
Next one is the Weller Rainbow Collection, of course, and that's all 6 bottles of the primary. Obviously, the 2 big ones in there are the white, the CYPB, and then the
Single barrel
orange label.
Yeah.
And I have more people that tell me that the Weller's Foolproof, and especially the Weller 12 year, are their go-tos. And they're like, if you come across one of those, just get me one. I don't care what it costs. But go ahead and pick one up. But I'm searching these around, like I said, like you said, all year long. Some of them are private purchases. Some of them are, a lot of them are getting into stores, but hunting around all over the place, and sometimes just lucking in as they're putting stuff on a shelf, or I go to some of the big days for some of the local chains and luck into right to buy drawings and so on. But it's just fun collecting these.
Yeah. I've got the special reserve. I've got a couple full proofs, a couple antique 107s. One is a really great store pick from the Cove, which is an awesome cocktail bar over here in West Covina, California. I'm looking for a 12, man, just so I can complete my lineup. But those ones are surprisingly hard to come by, and when I do, the prices are a little too outrageous for me. But yeah, for me, I know Antique 107 is probably my favorite. Do you have a favorite among these of the ones you've tried?
I'll keep my eyes open for a 12 for you.
Thank you.
A friend. The Antique 107, great story. I was with one of our other Cavalier friends, Dale Young, in his neighborhood, which is right in the Cincinnati area, and just across the river in Kentucky there. And we went into a place that was a prohibition bar, and it was your local honey hole place that had all kinds of bottles in there. The owner had been around and been shopping and in the bourbon business for decades on decades. And I explained to him what I really liked and what my sweet spot was for bourbons. I really like wheated. I'm not a high proof guy, so I kind of are 90 to about 108, 109 proof is what I like. And I said, so you got an extensive collection. I don't know what to pick, so pick something for me. And he said, just a minute. He went down the basement. He came back with a Weller 107,
Yep.
That was from 2014.
Oh, okay.
And it was unbelievable. It was so smooth, and the flavor was incredible. He said actually what had happened was the bourbon business really took off about 2014-15.
Yep.
And he said until then, they didn't bottle stuff because they couldn't move it. So a lot of the Weller 107, he bought some bottles from a barrel that came out, was bottled in 2014, and he said that stuff had actually been in the barrel for probably 20 to 25 years.
Huh.
But the demand wasn't there, so they knew it was going to be a Weller Antique 107, but they didn't bottle it until then. So he said if you can find one that's from like 2014 or shortly before that, he said those are really, really good because they've been in the barrel a lot longer than they appear to have been. Yeah. So all of a sudden they become more 12-year plus bottles. Right. It was whatever he charged us for the tasting that night. It was too low for the pleasure we got out of that 107.
Yeah, I was actually working at a Bevmo around that era when I first started getting into whiskey and bartending and all that, and I remember it was like right as the bourbon boom was taking off. So we carried Blanton's, Booker's, Antique 107, yep. Some other ones too, like at SRP, and they were just there on the shelf. But I was so new that I didn't know, and I was like, oh yeah, I'll buy one next time, like eventually, because it's always going to be there. I had no idea the way things would change. Even Eagle Rare is kind of a hot commodity these days, and it was just a few years ago that I can find it, anywhere for $35.99. Now it's not as easy to come by, but
yeah. What's interesting is in so much of this, and you'll see so many things in the collection here that you'll look at and you'll say, well, I can go right down to my corner liquor store or to a Total Wine or Binny's or whatever the big superstores are, and I can just get that right off the shelf. In your area, you may be able to, but as an example, a regular Buffalo Trace in Kentucky, they can't find it on the shelves.
Right.
So it's wherever the distribution is and the allocations and so on. So one of the things that we like to do with this raffle, which makes it fun, I really urge everybody to kind of go in here and take a look at the collections themselves. That number 3 is this is an election year. So and I'm always shopping their shelves and looking at stuff that looks interesting and just trying to create collections. A lot of these are from one distillery. So you saw the Blantons or one flight. You saw the Blantons or the Weller. In this case, I try and look for stuff that is just similar in name or nature, and they're interesting collections to win to put on your shelf, and they're just fun. So I happen to find this Proof and Wood is in this distillery out of Kentucky. I'm sorry, out of Connecticut. And that one Lincoln bottle that you see is actually from Boundary Oaks Distillery, which is just outside of E-Town, and it's actually right down the street from the distillery is right down the street from Fort Knox, Kentucky. But the other ones are all this whole theme that Proof and Wood put out with the senator, representative, cabinet, the justice, and the presidential dram. So it's a really fun collection from them. And certainly, it probably no matter what happens on the first week of November, we're probably going to need something to sip on during that whole process.
For sure. Yeah, this is an interesting look. I don't know if I've ever seen these out this way in Southern California. Like, I feel like they look kind of familiar. Maybe I have, but yeah, interesting.
Yeah, they had 5 in the collection, and then I picked up the Lincoln because I figured, well, that's close to an electable bourbon as I could find. The next one, of course, is the
Elijah Craig.
Elijah Craig, yeah. And of course, the big star in here is the 18. That's the one that's a little rare. A couple bottles of barrel proof in here, so toasted barrel, single rye. So it's got kind of all the different varieties. 2 of the barrel proofs are from two different barrels. I'm starting to buy more and more of the store pick barrel picks to be able to put into the collections, because it'll all say barrel pick or store pick on it, but they're all from different barrels, so they come across with an entirely different taste.
Yeah. Which barrel proof is this? It's hard to tell. It looks like it's a C9, but do you know which one in particular?
I don't offhand, and I would have to get uncomfortably close to that screen to be able to read it.
Yeah. It almost looks like it might be a C921 or 22 or something. And I ask because for anyone who doesn't know, I think a lot of bourbon enthusiasts that might be watching this probably already know that after 2022, prior to that, the barrel proofs from Elijah Craig were all 12 years old. So really great value. You're getting 12-year-old barrel strength bourbon from, Heaven Hill. Like, what's not to love about that? But they changed it to be variable age statements after that. And C923 was the first C batch of 2023. And that one happened to be 13 and a half years old, like 13 years, 7 months, 9 months. And like completely blew up the scene. They disappeared super fast. So if that happens to be in there, that would be incredible. And then even if not, if it is an older variant, then you're getting that 12-year-old juice, which is pretty cool.
The fun part about shopping for these is my wife and I have an RV, and we've been known to start taking more and more bourbon shopping trips. So we live here in the Indianapolis area, but we went down to Bardstown, and there is a state park campground right down the. In fact, it is adjacent to the Heaven Hill property. So it's in the morning you go outside, walk the dog or just, get some air, and you can smell the mash cooking.
Yeah.
And it's really kind of cool. But we went down there and did you can hit the Heaven Hill, go right down the street to Willett, to the Willett Distillery. There's about 7 or 8 you can hit just within about half hour, 45 minutes of Bardstown. So
That's
it's
awesome.
a fun place to go around and do some tastings and tours.
Yeah, incredible. We moved some Jeffersons now.
Yeah, we had I had one of these in last year's raffle, and the gentleman who won it really was buying the raffle ticket to support the organization, and he's not really a bourbon drinker. In fact, he doesn't drink at all. So we talked about what he could do to help support the organization, and suggested he maybe donate it back. So in this case, cool. we've got 2 collections. Now the first one is the one that was in last year is 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. So it's in 24, I think. So it's 6 bottles, all 6 voyages in a row. And if you know the story behind the Jefferson's Ocean, we also had done a tour of their Kentucky Artisan Distillery, which is closer up to the Frankfurt area. And they told us the story of how Jefferson's Ocean was born. And it's really kind of a cool, it's a very, very fun story. But this one has become virtually the Ocean brand of all the Jefferson brands. Ocean has become 80% of their sales.
Right.
So it's really taken off. And each of these is from a different voyage. So they've got the tag on it that shows what voyage they're from. And it also shows, in some case, I put the tag out front in the picture so you can see which ones were weeded. There's rye ones and so on. Now the story that they told, I'll do the quick version. He said initially there was the owner was sitting around, sipping on their bourbon with a friend who actually was an oceanographer, and he had an oceanography boat, a research vessel that was going out on cruises and doing scientific exploration and so on. They ended up speculating on what the barrels would be like and how they would taste if they had been to sea for a while, sloshing around on deck and so on. So he gave the captain 5 barrels, and they lashed them down on deck and took them to sea. They came back after several months. He asked them, say, how did everything go? They said, well, everything went great, except for, unfortunately, we hit a storm and 2 of the barrels washed overboard. And the owner of the distillery went, I'm sure they did. And I hope that the crew really enjoyed the 2 barrels, I think.
Yeah, I've got I've tried a few of these. I do like their rye. Oh, they got a double barrel rye. Wow. So I'm looking at the 25 through 30 collection now. I didn't even know there was like a wheated and a cast strength version of that. I'm gonna have to try that. But yeah, they're pretty interesting. I love that idea of this kind of rapid aging type technique to throw it in a boat so it's rocking and drawing more from the wood, more contact and all that is a really interesting idea. And
it's kind of cool on the Jefferson's website too. They also have, you can look up any of the, so if you grab one off the shelf, you can actually go on their website and see where geographically that voyage went. So you can see,
wow.
and they set of changes based on where they're going and what the humidity levels are and the heat levels and so on. So it's, each one is going to be an entirely different. It's going to taste like an entirely different mash bill. Mash bill is probably pretty much the same, but it's kind of where it was aged that's cool.
Yeah.
Or where it was finished, because they take it to sea for probably 3 to 5 months.
All right, now we're up to number 7.
That's our Cowboy collection. And I also was able to pick up a package of that Derringer. And it's just all Western themed bottles. But I'd like to say the cool thing about bourbon collecting, and it's kind of funny because with all those bottles of bourbon we have in our basement, my wife and I joke that every time we have somebody come over and look at our air conditioning or the furnace, we have to warn them that we're I said, I don't have a drinking problem. I have a collecting problem.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
And so much of these are, as you were talking about with the Blantons, it's having those trophies on your shelf, and they're the bottles themselves are just so unique and then so cool that they actually all do have some pretty good quality juice inside. So the Smoke Wagon, we've got a couple of bottles of that, a couple of bottles of Yellowstone, and I think these are barrel selections. And then, of course, that Derringer behind it with the Derringer-shaped cork is going to look cool on anybody's shelf.
Yeah, that's a beautiful looking little decanter there. And I've had one Smoke Wagon before. I don't remember which one it was, though. Probably like an uncut. Yellowstones I have been seeing a lot where I'm at, but I have yet to try one. So I might need to find one at a bar soon and pull the trigger on it, see what's good.
It sounds like that's really a kind of a regional base. They're very available in this area.
Yeah,
not that far from Kentucky, and that's in fact it's Yellowstone brand, but it's actually out of Distillery in Owensboro, Kentucky.
Oh, okay. Is it Green River? Is that the one? No? Interesting.
I'm trying to remember.
And I know Smoke Wagon, I think is Vegas, I want to say, or maybe it's sourced, and I think it might be like MGP sourced, but they bottle it in Vegas or something like that. That's interesting.
Yep, it's exactly correct. And then, of course, the other Western collection is the High West collection next to that, and that you can search for some of these for months and not come across one, and then all of a sudden you'll find them all in one place. So I happened to walk in one day, and there was a whole 6 different varieties of High West, which is Utah based.
Yep.
And the distillery is there by my understanding. That's where they did the bottling. And so all 6 bottles were kind of lined up, and I said, well, that's a collection for the easy pickings. So I managed to pull that, but this again is one of those that is kind of regionally based. You may or may not find it in your area based on the distribution.
Yeah, I'm definitely a High West fan, and High West is actually a friend of Drinks and a Movie podcast. I've done a couple episodes with Becky, one of the brand ambassadors from there. Actually, fairly recently, just a month ago, one of the latest episodes we did, I want to say close to this same exact lineup you have here. With the exception of the store pick American Prairie Bourbon, we did a new bottled and bond that they had released at the distillery. So if you want to see the brand ambassador talk about each of these bottles here and us do a tasting of it, if you're unsure of the history and where it comes from, check out Drinks and Movie podcast, and you'll get all the info on like pretty much everything that's in this photo right here. Well,
you can tell your friend Becky that we're happy to advertise on their behalf with
Yeah.
Love to have them support the raffle next year.
Yeah. We'll do. No, I'll throw that out there for sure. Yeah, I'm sure they'll be stoked to see that. All right, here we go. Some sports collections here.
Yeah, that was fun to shop for. The sports collection. Now, all of those have some kind of sports relationship. Obviously, you got the baseball bottle, and that's from the baseball, from the what do you call it, Baseball Hall of Fame area, Cooperstown, New York. But next to it is actually the one bottle of tequila that we've got in here, and that is an actual tequila distillery that Michael Jordan is a partner in.
Okay.
Then the Field of Dreams next to it. Now that I'm not sure how that's distributed, if it's mostly Midwest, but the Field of Dreams is actually made with the corn, as we all know, 51% corn for bourbon, and the corn is actually from the field where the movie Field of Dreams was shot.
Really? Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
That's
so
cool.
it's actually from Iowa. It's from each year they do the crop of corn, and it now goes to the distillery that they make Field of Dreams. Sweetens Cove next to that is Tennessee distillery. It's actually more of a Tennessee whiskey, and Peyton Manning, obviously being from Indianapolis, where it's close to our heart, and Peyton is a partner in that venture. There's the Bradshaw bourbon. And then the next one is Digits, and that one is actually signed by, it's a partnership, but it's actually signed by the master distiller, and who's got a very strong history. It's a California brand,
Okay.
and it's also autographed by Scottie Pippen.
Oh, wow. Okay. Awesome.
So that was the partnership with the Digits brand. So that's a real interesting collection. I've already got several bottles lined up for next year. A couple of these will be repeat. I'll have in next year's raffle, and got some other really cool ones. In fact, I just scored the other day. Gretzky, one of our alums, brought it down out of Canada because it's only available in Canada. I've only been able to find it there, and I've got a bottle that was set aside for next year's sports collection.
Nice. So now we're on to this Woodford Reserve collection here. Looks like we've got some. Wow, you have the double oaked. I just noticed that. That's not easy to come by. Yeah, tell us about this one.
Somebody grabbed that for me. The double oak. It's obviously the double oak. A lot of these are relatively commonly found on the shelves. Obviously, Woodford is the brand of the Kentucky Derby of Churchill Downs, but they do this release once a year. My understanding is with the double oak, and we were able to score a bottle of that. It's a 0.375 liter bottle, but I think they do that to spread it around a little bit more.
Yeah.
But that's the special bottle in there. The other one that is actually, it's the juice itself is probably not unusual, but the bottle is the one on the left, this was the 150th running of the Kentucky Derby. And every year Woodford does a version of the Woodford Reserve that is in honor of that year's running. So had to wait till the races actually run the first weekend of May, but I had to wait till late March before they did the release of this one, and then grabbed one right off the store shelves. So lucky enough to be able to score that.
Dang, and the blue one, I think that's single malt, right? Or no, I guess that's the wheat, or yeah.
Yeah, you got the.
Oh yeah, there you go, wheat and single malt. Cool. So good variety here.
Yep.
Yeah, I like this.
So sometimes when we're walking up and down the aisles, and my wife and she'll go to some of these shows with me and just shake her head as I keep tasting and talking to people and hearing stories about bourbon. This one, we just said, there's like several different bird names all in a row. And so this one has nothing to do with each other except just for fun. We just picked the bird names. Now, the common ones, the Cardinal Gold is pretty easy to find. Obviously, we talked about the Eagle Rare before. Wild Turkey is pretty readily found everywhere, nationally distributed. But the Chicken Cock and Buzzard's Roost are more regional, and the Kentucky Owl, and this is the confiscated version, Kentucky Owl was the Dixon Deadman brand that he had, kind of come up with, and that is pretty allocated, highly sought, and not often available on the shelves. And usually, when it does hit the shelves, it's snatched off there pretty quick. So it's just a kind of a fun collection that. For showing off and getting your friends over and being able to taste some of the different brands.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one. The Wild Turkey Rare Breed is definitely calling my name. That's an all-time favorite right there.
Yeah.
Now we got some single malt. Here we go. Are you a big single malt guy yourself, or mainly
I'm not.
bourbon?
We had last year, I had several people that asked about doing a single malt collection. And so all of these are, pretty good. I mean, this collection was lucky to get some of these, certainly for the range that I got them in. But you've got the Macallan, the Loch Lomond, and I had gone to doing some research and just Googled the top 10 whiskeys in the world based on somebody's judgments. And there was three different people that had done descriptions of them, and Loch Lomond 18 was on all three of those lists.
Okay.
So pretty good luck to be able to score that one. Obviously, the Dalmore, some of the rest of these are some more modern brands, but also some historical brands as well. Glenmorangie, nice looking, and the thing I like about the single malts and the scotches, they've all got some great packaging. They're in really cool boxes or tubes.
Yeah.
So they look great on your shelf as well.
Yeah, I just can't get into single malt myself. Like more and more, I'm starting to dig in more so American single malts, I guess, because a lot more companies and brands are coming out with those. So it's slowly growing on me, but yeah, it's still tough. And I'm kind of glad, to be honest, because, man, that's just more money I got to spend if I do love it. And then with single malts, where it's like you're starting at basically 12 years old and going up to 18, 20, 30, and that's normal. I'm like, yeah. That's too much for me. All right, here. I don't think I've ever had any 2XOs. Maybe I've had one. But, yeah, this looks like an interesting little setup here.
This is where Dixon Deadman went after the master distiller, after he left Kentucky Owl. The distillery that does that, and he started this 2XO brand, and it's double oak. All of this whole range are all double oaked, and he's come out with a different one or two of these per year. So puts it into a separate different bottle. They're not cheap, so this is this is probably off the shelf, and I probably had to go to 4 different stores to get these. But this is off the shelf is probably about $700 or $800 worth of pretty good bourbon all by itself. Yeah. And I keep watching his collections to see kind of where they go. But I have not tasted any myself. I've got a bottle back there that's in another one that's in waiting, and looking forward for the right opportunity with friends to be able to kind of crack that and see what the hubbub is about on these reviews.
Yeah, I might have to try one soon. I don't think I've seen them at any bars, though, and, it's always a roll of the dice if I'm going to go, dish out money for a bottle, which I do a lot, but I'm trying to take it easy on that. So this one looks like we got some single barrel picks. Oh, no, the Wise Guy collection. All right, here we go.
Yeah, there's a Wise Guy pub in Indianapolis, and it is... down in the bar and restaurant area on Massachusetts Avenue. So it's Mass Ave in Indy is a good spot. And this one is actually the Wise Guys Pub, and they've got a little pizza place out front, but in the back is just your classic old bourbon drinking bar. Great situation. It's a really cool place, and relatively quiet. So it's a good place to go in and talk and sip these. But what they've done is with all of these, they're not that uncommon as far as the bottles. Some of them are little hard to find, like the Eagle Rare, in some places the Sazerac, but each one of these has a sticker on it, and it's actually themed after a famous gangster. So you even got the one, the Jefferson's Ocean, which is from Ocean's what do you call it, Voyage Number 30, which is named after Al Capone, Dillinger, all these different people. So it's just another one of those fun collections.
Yeah. No, I love a good setup of single barrel picks, and that's great. They're always unique, and like I'm a sucker for Knob Creek single. Like you see, I've got a Knob Creek shelf up here, and like in the back is rows and rows of like single barrel store picks. I've got a new riff right here that's pretty good. I think I'm actually going to open this right now. But yeah, man, single barrel picks are the way to go, especially Eagle Rares. Everybody, if you can't find a regular Eagle Rare, but you're able to find a single barrel like store pick or restaurant pick, it's worth the price 9 times out of 10. So yeah, that's great. I would definitely be interested in this lineup here. Here we go, 1792.
The 1792 collection is, a couple different, the bottle and bond, regular small batch, and, a second bottle and bond store pick, sweet wheat, full proof. So it's virtually the whole 1792 lineup that's, all a little bit different in nature. So, and obviously one of the really kind of cool, classy bottles.
Yeah. No, they are good looking bottles. And yeah, I mean, they're really great. I've got a lot of friends that, cut their teeth on 1792 small batch, and then you go up to bottled and bond, which is just like another level good, and you're foolproof. And of course the sweet wheat if you like something lighter. But yeah, I can't go wrong with 1792. That's for sure. Now we've got some Willet. Looks like we got a purple top here. It's interesting.
There you go. You got two purple tops.
Yeah.
One of the obviously the 8-year and the 10-year. Noah's Mill, and obviously these are out of that distillery. Obviously, Willet is known for that pot still bottle, but you get the bottle of rye in the back there, as well as the Noah's Mill and Rowan's Creek. So again, right down the street from where you get that Elijah Craig, you can shop for the Willets.
Yeah, I've got to try the. I'm definitely a big fan of Willet Rye. I've got to try Noah's Mill in Rowan's Creek again. I've had them before, but I don't remember them that well. And I feel like recently, especially over the summer, I feel like a lot of people were asking me about those two, like my thoughts, which one's better, so on and so on. And I'm like, yeah, I just don't remember. So I got to give those a shot again. I did actually, I teach another drum corps, and we did a pre-tour in Owensboro this past May, Owensboro, Kentucky, and I got to try a Willet 6-year finally. Like the 4 years are plentiful, but the 6-year purple top, I think I tried an 8-year too, and yeah, they were good. I was really stoked to finally get to, try. I never thought that happened, because those are definitely hard to come by, and when I do see them, they are wildly expensive. And the years go pretty crazy. I've seen one that I think was 19 years old. It's some store in like Silver Lake, Los Angeles, and obviously they wanted thousands of dollars for that one, but yeah, it's interesting. Booker's, some of my favorites right here.
There you go.
Good old Jim Beam. I got one right here. I was actually going to pour some. I have a handful of these. This is one of the more recent 2024 batch 1 Springfield batch. But yeah, I'm a giant Jim Beam head, and so Booker's is really great, uncut, unfiltered. Which ones do we have here? It looks like a lot of 2023, and you've even got a little book in the mix. Yeah.
Yeah, there's your tag here where you can see the actual collections.
Here we go. 21, 22. Yeah, these are some good ones too. I know I have a Ronnie's, I have a Lumberyard. I don't think I have Storyteller. I've got Mighty Fine. Yeah. And then Little Book in retrospect. I forgot the specs on that one. Do you remember?
No. But I mean, if I had a collection of these last year that we did at last year's raffle and this year's raffle, I got to get down there, because there's times when, the reputation of Jim Beam as being kind of a middle to lower shelf brand. I made the mistake of driving past the tasting room a couple times, and I should have stopped in, because I was very impressed with the Bookers and some of the other stuff that they had, as well as some of the rest of the Jim Beam varieties that were for sale in the. A lot of times the allocated stuff they don't put in their tasting rooms. They just put the normal brands, and I was really surprised to find both Little Book and Bookers, as well as some other really good bottles that were for sale right in the tasting room.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's one of the dream distilleries I need to check out. I feel like a lot of people sleep on Beam, and if I were to rank my favorite distilleries, Beam is definitely at the top. Wild Turkey being a very close second. And yeah, I mean, I feel like Knob Creek, just regular Knob Creek 9-year is an unsung hero, and thank God it hasn't gone the way of Eagle Rare where they're hard to find. You know, they just released a 10-year-old rye recently, and you know, I love really high proof bourbon. So one of the first bourbons I fell in love with was actually Booker's. And they're kind of young, you know, they're like 6 years to 7 years old, but I love that good 126 and up proof. You know, I just think their juice is really amazing. Obviously, the presentation's really good. And Little Books I've been getting into more and more. They're very interesting, the experimentations that Freddie Noe, I think he's like third generation master distiller,
Right.
does. So the Little Books are very unique, which is cool. And yeah, each batch offers something like pretty different, which is cool. So
I know you've been selling me on Knob Creek for a few years. Last year I had a collection in there. This year I've got a few bottles sorted in here and there, but I've already started collecting with you in mind. Rudy. I've got a couple of bottles already put together for my next year's Knob Creek collection.
Nice, yeah, definitely. Let's see. Here we go. Maker's Mark. We got a private barrel, Maker's number 6, Maker's cast strength, and then a couple other private selections in the wood box. Are you a big Maker's fan yourself?
As a making old fashions, I really like Maker's Mark, and as a mix, have not had much in a neat fashion, but I thought this was kind of cool, and this was available in the actually at a event I went to for a local liquor store chain, and the representatives were there from Maker's Mark, and they had these boxes available. So that's actually a wood box with some, pretty good attachments, and some .375 bottles in there. So there's 3 different varieties of those. So it's a pretty good little deal to be able to do some tasting on, or to be able to over the holidays when you got a party over and people want to try different tastes.
Yeah. No, definitely fun. I like that. This is a lot of, in the mix, it's like 4 different private selections, which is always cool. I'm not the biggest Maker's fan myself, even just wheated bourbon in general for the most part. But I do love some of those private selections and store picks. You can get some really amazing ones out there. I think their wood finishing series was really great. I just got yesterday the new one, the Heart release. It's out of reach, but maybe I'll open that tonight and we'll see what's good. But yeah, new riff. That's what I got in my glass right now. I've only had a single barrel bourbon and a single barrel rye, but I do really enjoy them. I've heard some good things about this. It looks like you've got the malted rye 6-year. I know I've heard good things about that. Balboa rye I've never heard of.
Ooh, that's their that's one of their holy grails is the Balboa rye. Understanding is it's only really available a couple times a year.
Okay.
We have one of my fellow board members that actually lives in a building that's virtually right across the street. It's and it is in Kentucky, but it's virtually in view of the Ohio River across from Ohio, so across from Cincinnati. So it's right in that Cincinnati kind of metroplex area, but definitely on the Kentucky side. And we were also able to score that Silver Creek, which was a new release that they had just let out that week. So you've got some pretty good variety, and this is a definitely new riff as an up and coming distillery.
Yeah, I've never Silver Grove. This one I have not seen. That's interesting. Single malt. Yeah, I'm definitely impressed with the single barrels I've tried. So it's got me interested in these other ones, and yeah, this bottled and bomb Balboa I've never seen out here. That's for sure. But yeah, cool. Here we go.
From the new riff, we go to the old collection, and this is another one. It's just for no other reason. I look at them on the shelves and I say, well, I got a whole bunch of stuff that's from old. Yeah. The Old Carter is actually one that I won in another charity raffle locally here.
Nice.
And that's a pretty special bottle. My understanding, I don't know much about Old Carter, but my understanding, it's a pretty special bottle. The Old Forester is a single barrel from a local bourbon club that I'm in. And obviously you got some 114 Old Granddads. The Old Forester Statesman is actually one of my go-tos.
Okay.
Really like that, the flavor on that one. Pretty special bottle of Old Elk. And the last one is someone that it was a gift to me from someone in upstate New York, and that's just a local distillery in upstate New York, the Old Home Distillery, and malt whiskey. So I thought that would enhance the old collection pretty good.
Yeah, give you some good variety. Yeah, Old Forester Statesman I have yet to try. Like, I'm a big Old Forester fan, but somehow that one keeps eluding me. Maybe tonight I'll go and finally try it out. Yeah, as you can probably see, I've got a bunch of barrel-proof single barrels up here, so I've been pretty lucky with my Old Forester hunting. An Old Granddad 114, top number one favorite, just daily sipper for me.
Yeah.
Easily the best $30, in my opinion, bottle of whiskey you can get out there. It is just the bomb, as we used to say back in the day. Yeah. Love me some Old Granddad 114. Oh, and then, are we bad? Was that the last one? I think it was. Yeah. 20 collections.
The thing, we want to go back out to that. The big bottle. As I was saying earlier, for every 3 tickets you buy or acquire, you get 1 entry into the big bottle bonus drawing. And so it's definitely an incentive to buy multiple tickets. In this case, you can get into what for the $200 when you get the 3 tickets. But these are all 1.75 liter bottles, and so we had it in a single collection the last few years. In fact, last year for our 75th anniversary, so I had one collection that had 7.5 gallons. So it was like 15 bottles of in one collection of 1.75 liter. So, hopefully that went to some bar owner who's going to be stocked up for a while.
Yeah.
But in this case, we decided to use, we had 18 bottles, and I split them into 3 different collections of 6 bottles each. And you can see, kind of how all those stack up. I regret that I didn't put something into this picture so you could tell the scale. But Those are all big bottles. Also mixed in a bottle of a couple bottles of Scotch, the single barrel with the Glenlivet, and then there's the Jameson Irish whiskey, obviously, that we put in. So each one of those big bottle bonus collections has got one of the British Isles selections mixed into it as well.
Yeah, man, that's a lot. That's I'm looking at that Eagle Rare and just thinking that's a lot of good old fashions right there.
Yeah.
And then we got some bonuses here.
That's the one on the big picture is all 3 of the collections, and you can see the individual ones below it. So you got big bottle bonus 1, bonus 2, bonus 3. So it just kind of breaks it down so you can get a better look at the individual collections that are available. So there's going to be 3 winners. So each of the 3 winners in the big bottle bonus will be able to score one of those collections.
Man, awesome. Yeah, I mean, and something here for everybody. Like literally for every, whiskey, bourbon enthusiast. If you like your single malt scotches, you got that. Plenty of stuff that I know I haven't even tried yet. That would be, great to have. And then obviously, your heavy hitter like this, like this up here, just having a chance to even, get anything close to that.
Right.
Yeah. And can you just remind us again when the raffle
Sure.
ends?
Tickets are available through September 28th. We will do the drawing on Sunday evening, September 29th. So we'll close it off at midnight on the night before, and then do all our prep. And we're going to do a Facebook Live, drawing on that Sunday evening, about 7:00 Central Time. And until then, they can go to Cavaliers.org, and I'm sure you can throw the link up there for them on the podcast. But it's going to go to Cavaliers.org and hit the. If you don't see it right there, there's a red ribbon at the top of the screen. Just click on that, and it'll take you right to that page that we were just looking at, and you can go right down and be able to purchase your tickets. So we we hope that we'll be able to start pushing that we're getting close to a sellout. We're not there yet, so it's a good time to get in, but it'll be open until that time, and we really appreciate everybody's support. It's, you get a chance to obviously win any one of these collections is going to be cool. It's definitely well worth the investment. It's, every collection is worth more than what you pay for for a couple of tickets or for 3 tickets. So, and it goes to support some great programs, keeps the charity going, and so that's that's definitely a benefit there as well.
Yeah, and I can speak to it from personal experience, everybody. Again, I was part of this organization for, when I was in my 21 years old, and yeah, it's just really a good organization for a lot of young people out there, and they've got all these other programs, so, you're supporting a good cause, and then you got a chance to obviously, get some really amazing juice that I know all of us big whiskey hunters enthusiasts are going for. So I'll definitely be getting my tickets soon. And there was that 2 for 3, correct? Right, where you get two, you get
3 tickets for $200.
3 for 2. Gotcha. Yeah. So it's a no-brainer. Everybody, jump in there, click on the link, get yourself some. And if you win, reach out to me, and then maybe we can do some trades or something. I don't know. But yeah, Chris, thanks a lot for joining me and coming on the show again to talk about it. Hopefully we can do it again next year. If you need any help curating next year, let me know, because I'm definitely down for that. I got some ideas. I'm surprised we don't have a 4 Roses for the Village of Rosemont. I know you did the drum corps one. I think you had a 4 Roses in there, but
yeah, we did a 4 Roses. Yeah, we did. There was a 4 Roses in there. We did a 4 Roses collection last year.
Okay, I missed that.
You're trying to get the variety, the variety of 4 Roses kind of collected and curated is sometimes a challenge. But when I do see starting to collect already, and I think I've got a couple of bottles of 4 Roses for next year. The bottles all look the same, but certainly the juice inside is entirely different. They got those 4 different
the 10 recipes
formulas.
Yeah, 10 recipes and a couple new ones on the way, I hear, in the next few years they've got, which is going to make way more combinations, which is pretty wild. But yeah, well, man, yeah, Chris, thanks again for joining, and
thank you so much for having me, and appreciate all the support of the raffle, and look forward to hearing from you. If you guys see it and you want to send some advice in or some questions or suggestions for what you'd like to see in next year's raffle, always welcome them as well. So, Rudy, I'll be tapping into that offer to help me curate next year.
Oh, yeah, man, I got you. The Jack Daniels collection, Wild Turkey collection, Nelson's Greenbrier. We're in. I'll make a list.
All right, sounds good. All right, take care, my friend.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you for listening to the Drinks in a Movie podcast. You can now find us on Instagram at Drinks in a Movie Pod, where we'll be posting photos from all the various films that we discuss. You can also email us at drinksinamoviepod@gmail.com. Please rate, review, and subscribe, and thank you for listening.